How's it going, everybody? Thank you for joining me on Out of the Bothros for Weekly Word Wednesday. We last left off in Ezekiel chapter 5, so we're going to pick up in chapter 6, I'm pretty sure. I think that's how numbers work. Actually, numbers work like cubits, I think is what it says. Terrible joke, never mind. So we're going to go ahead and take off in 6. But before we go into that, we're doing the Son of Man series. I kind of did a little interlude to what we're going to be talking about with Jesus because it was pressed onto my heart in order to do that speech for us to understand that it's our commitments and our covenants made by our own heart, not because of the fear of legal circumstances or government law or... you should never be in a situation that you're committing yourself not because of legality, but because you've committed yourself. So I kind of jumped into that on a little bit of Hebrews and in John about Jesus being his own witness, the Father watching him, and what the reason for the new covenant oath was. But we're going to go ahead and go back into Ezekiel here in chapter 6, where Ezekiel was just told by God basically to say all these things to the house of Israel because of their rebellion. So we're going to pick up. The word of the Lord came to me, Son of man, set your face against the mountains of Israel. Prophesy against them and say, O mountains of Israel, hear the word of the sovereign Lord. This is what the sovereign Lord says to the mountains and hills, to the ravines and the valleys. I am about to bring a sword against you, and I will destroy your holy places. Your altars will be demolished, and your incense altars will be smashed. And I will slay your people in front of your idols. I will lay the dead bodies of the Israelites in front of their idols, and I will scatter your bones around your altars. Wherever you live, the towns will be laid to waste, and the high places demolished, so that your altars will be laid to waste and devastated, your idols smashed and ruined, your incense altars broken down, and what you have made wiped out. Your people will fall slain among you, and you will know that I am the Lord. But I will spare some, for some of you will escape the sword when you are scattered among the lands and nations. Then in the nations where they have carried captive those who escaped will remember me, how I have been grieved by their adulterous hearts, which have turned away from me, and by their eyes, which have lusted after their idols. They will loathe themselves for the evil they have done, and for all their detestable practices, and they will know that I am the Lord. I do not threaten in vain to bring the calamity on them. This is what the sovereign Lord says. Strike your hands together and stamp your feet, and cry out, alas, because of all the wicked and detestable practices of the house of Israel, for they will fall by the sword, famine, and plague. He that is far away will die by plague, and he that is near will fall by the sword, and he that survives and is spared will die of famine. So while I spend my wrath upon them, and they will know that I am the Lord. When their people lie slain among their idols, around their altars, on every high hill and on the mountain tops, under every spreading tree and every leafy oak, places where they offered fragrant incenses to all their idols, and I will stretch my hand out against them and make their land a desolate waste, from the desert to Diblah, where they live. Then they will know that I am the Lord. Chapter 7. The word of the Lord came to me, Son of man, this is what the sovereign Lord says to the land of Israel. The end has come upon the four corners of the land. The end is now upon you, and I will unleash my anger against you. I will judge you according to your conduct and repay you for all your detestable practices. I will not look on you with pity or spare you. I will surely repay you for your conduct and the detestable practices among you. Then you will know that I am the Lord. This is what the sovereign Lord says. Disaster, an unheard of disaster is coming. The end has come. The end has come. It has roused itself against you. It has come. Doom has come upon you. You who dwell in the land, the time has come. The day is near. There is panic, not joy. Upon the mountains, I am about to pour out my wrath on you and spend my anger against you. I will judge you according to your conduct and repay you for all your detestable practices. I will not look on you with pity or spare you. I will repay you with accordance with your conduct and the detestable practices among you. Then you will know that I am the Lord who strikes with the coup de grace. No, with the blow. There's a little joke I had with a friend earlier today with the word we were talking about. The day is here. It has come. Doom has burst forth. The rod has budded. Arrogance has blossomed. Violence has grown into a rod to punish wickedness. None of the people will be left. None of that crowd. No wealth. Nothing of value. The time has come. The day has arrived. Let not the buyer rejoice, nor the seller grieve, for wrath is upon the whole crowd. The seller will not recover the land he has sold as long as both of them live, for the vision concerning the whole crowd will not be reversed. Because of their sins, not one of them will preserve his life. Though they blow the trumpet and get everything ready, no one will go into battle. For my wrath is upon the whole crowd. Outside is the sword. Inside are plagues and famine. Those in the country will die by the sword, and those in the city will be devoured by famine and plague. All who survive and escape will be in mountains, moaning like doves of the valleys. Each because of his sins, every hand will go limp, and every knee will become weak as the water. They will put on sackcloth and be clothed with terror. Their faces will be covered with shame, and their heads will be shaved. They will throw their silver into the streets, and their gold will be an unclean thing. Their silver and gold will not be able to save them in the day of the Lord's wrath. They will not satisfy their hunger or fill their stomachs with it, for it has made them stumble into sin. They were proud of their beautiful jewelry, and used it to make their detestable idols and vile images. Therefore I will turn these into an unclean thing for them. I will hand it all over as plunder to foreigners and as loot to the wicked of the earth, and they will defile it. I will turn my face away from them, and they will desecrate my treasured place. Robbers will enter it and desecrate it. Prepare chains, because the land is full of bloodshed and the city is full of violence. I will bring the most wicked of the nations to take possession of their houses. I will put an end to the pride of the mighty, and their sanctuaries will be desecrated. When terror comes, they will seek peace, but there will be none. Calamity upon calamity will come, and rumor upon rumor. They will try to get a vision from the prophet. The teaching of the law by the priests will be lost, as will the counsel of the elders. The king will mourn, the prince will be clothed with despair, and the hands of the people of the land will tremble. I will deal with them according to their conduct, and by their own standards I will judge them. Then they will know I am the Lord. Chapter 8. In the 6th year, in the 6th month, on the 5th day, when I was sitting in my house, and the elders of Judah were sitting before me, the hand of the sovereign Lord came upon me there. I looked and I saw a figure like that of a man. From what appeared to be his waist down was like fire, and from up his appearance was as bright as glowing metal. He stretched out what looked like a hand and took me by my hair of my head. The Spirit lifted me up between earth and heaven, and in visions of God he took me to Jerusalem, to the entrance of the north gate of the inner court, where the idol that provokes to jealousy stood, and there before me was the glory of the God of Israel, as in the vision I had seen in the plain. Then he said to me, Son of man, look toward the north. So I looked, and in the entrance of the north gate of the altar I saw this idol of jealousy. And he said to me, Son of man, do you see what they are doing? They utter detestable things the house of Israel is doing here, things that will drive me far from my sanctuary. But you will see things that are even more detestable. Then he brought me to the entrance to the court. I looked, and I saw a hole in the wall. He said to me, Son of man, now dig into the wall. So I dug into the wall and saw a doorway there. And he said to me, Go in and see the wicked and detestable things they are doing. So I went in and looked, and I saw portrayed all over the walls all kinds of crawling things and detestable animals, and the idols of the house of Israel. In front of them stood 70 elders of the house of Israel, and Jazniah, son of Shaphan, was standing among them. Each had a censer in his hand, and a fragrant cloud of incense was rising. He said to me, Son of man, have you seen what the elders of the house of Israel are doing in the darkness? Each at the shrine of his own idol. They say, The Lord does not see us. The Lord has forsaken the land. Again he said, You will see them doing things that are even more detestable. Then he brought me to the entrance to the north gate of the house of the Lord, and I saw a woman sitting there mourning for Tammuz. He said to me, Do you see this, son of man? You will see things that are even more detestable than this. He then brought me into the inner court of the house of the Lord, and there at the entrance to the temple, between the portico and the altar, were about 25 men, with their backs towards the temple of the Lord, and their faces toward the east. They were bowing down to the sun in the east. He said to me, Have you seen this, son of man? Is it a trivial matter for the house of Judah to do the detestable things they are doing here? Must they also fill the land with violence and continually provoke me to anger? Look at them putting the branch to their nose. Therefore I will deal with them in anger. I will not look on them with pity or spare them. Although they shout in my ears, I will not listen to them. Chapter 9. Then I heard him call out in a loud voice, Bring the guards of the city here, each with a weapon in his hand. And I saw 6 men coming from the direction of the upper gate, which faces north, each with a deadly weapon in his hand. With them was a man clothed in linen, who had a riding kit at his side. They came in and stood beside the bronze altar. Now the glory of the God of Israel went up from above the cherubim, where it had been, and moved to the threshold of the temple. Then the Lord called to the man clothed in linen, who had the riding kit, and he said to him, Go throughout the city of Jerusalem and put a mark on the forehead of those who grieve and lament over all the detestable things that are done in it. As I listened, he said to the others, Follow him through the city and kill, without showing pity or compassion. Slaughter old men, young men, maidens, women, children. Do not touch anyone who has the mark, but begin at my sanctuary. So they began with the elders who were in front of the temple. Then he said to them, Defile the temple and fill the court with the slain. Go. So they went out and began killing throughout the city. While they were killing, and I was left alone, I fell face down, crying out, Ah, sovereign Lord, are you going to destroy the entire remnant of Israel in this outpouring of your wrath on Jerusalem? He answered me, The sin of the house of Israel and Judah is exceedingly great. The land is full of bloodshed, and the city is full of injustice. They say the Lord has forsaken the land. The Lord does not see. So I will not look on them with pity or spare them, but I will bring down on their own heads what they have done. Then the man in linen, with the writing kit at his side, brought back word saying, I have done as you have commanded. Chapter 10. I looked, and I saw the likeness of a throne of sapphire above the expanse that was over the heads of the cherubim. The Lord said to the man clothed in linen, Go in among the wheels beneath the cherubim. Fill your hands with burning coals from among the cherubim, and scatter them over the city. And as I watched, he went in. Now the cherubim were standing on the south side of the temple. When the man went in, and a cloud filled the inner court, then the glory of the Lord rose from above the cherubim and moved to the threshold of the temple. The cloud filled the temple, and the court was full of the radiance of the glory of the Lord. The sound of the wings of the cherubim could be heard as far away as the outer court, like the voice of God Almighty when he speaks. When the Lord commanded the man in linen, Take fire from among the wheels, from among the cherubim, the man went in and stood beside a wheel. Then one of the cherubim reached out his hand to the fire that was among them. He took up some of it and put out under the wings of the cherubim and put it into the hands of the man in linen, who took it and went out. Under the wings of the cherubim could be seen what looked like the hands of a man. I looked, and I saw beside the cherubim 4 wheels, one beside each of the cherubim. The wheels sparkled like chrysolite. As for their appearance, the 4 of them looked alike. Each was like a wheel intersecting a wheel. As they moved, they would go in and one of the 4 directions the cherubim faced. The wheels did not turn about as the cherubim went. The cherubim went in whatever direction the head faced, without turning as they went. I think you guys need to listen to that section right there, very importantly. If you're not paying attention, it might overpass you. I'm really feeling that that's an important thing. That the spirits that came with these cherubim followed the direction of the head and did not turn as they went. The spirits of the cherubim followed without faulting. The cherubim went in whatever direction the head faced, without turning as the head went. Their entire bodies, including their backs, their hands, and their wings, were completely full of eyes, as were their 4 wheels. I heard the wheels being called the whirling wheels. Each of the cherubim had 4 faces. One face was that of a cherubim, the second the face of a man, the third the face of a lion, and the fourth the face of an eagle. Then the cherubim rose upward. Those were the living creatures I had seen by the Kebar River. When the cherubim moved, the wheels besides them moved, and when the cherubim spread their wings to rise from the ground, the wheels did not leave their side. When the cherubim stood still, they also stood still. And when the cherubim rose, they rose with them, because the spirit of the living creature was in them. Then the glory of the Lord departed from over the threshold of the temple and stopped above the cherubim. While I watched, the cherubim spread their wings and rose from the ground. And as they went, the wheels went with them. They stopped at the entrance to the east gate of the Lord's house, and the glory of the God of Israel was above them. These were the living creatures I had seen beneath the God of Israel by the Kebar River, and I realized that they were cherubim. Each had 4 faces and 4 wings, and under their wings was what looked like the hands of a man. Their face had the same appearance as those I had seen by the Kebar River. Each one went straight ahead. We're going to finish here in chapter 11. This will be the last section. And we'll go ahead and kind of do some key points, and then we'll go ahead and finish the video. Then the Spirit lifted me up and brought me to the gate of the house of the Lord that faces east. There at the entrance to the gate were about 25 men, and I saw among them Josniah, son of Azur, and Pelatiah, son of Benaiah, leaders of the people. The Lord said to me, Son of man, these are the men who are plotting evil and giving wicked advice in this city. They say, will it not soon be time to build houses? This city is a cooking pot, and we are the meat. Therefore prophesy against them, prophesy, Son of man. Then the Spirit of the Lord came upon me, and he told me to say, this is what the Lord says. This is what you are saying, O house of Israel, but I know what is going through your mind. You have killed many people in this city and filled its streets with the dead. Therefore, this is what the sovereign Lord says. The bodies you have thrown there are the meat, and this city is the pot, but I will drive you out of it. You fear the sword, and the sword is what I will bring against you, declares the sovereign Lord. I will drive you out of the city, and hand you over to foreigners, and inflict punishment on you. You will fall by the sword, and I will execute judgment on you at the borders of Israel. Then you will know that I am the Lord. This city will not be a pot for you, nor will you be the meat in it. I will execute judgment on you at the borders of Israel, and you will know that I am the Lord. For you have not followed my decrees or kept my laws, but you have conformed to the standards of the nations around. Followed my decrees or kept my laws, but have conformed to the standards of the nations around you. Now as I was prophesying, Pelatiah, son of Benaiah, died. Then I fell face down and cried out in a loud voice, O sovereign Lord, will you completely destroy the remnant of Israel? The word of the Lord came to me, Son of man, your brothers who are your blood relatives, and the whole house of Israel are those of whom the people of Jerusalem have said, they are far away from the Lord. This land was given to us as our possession. Therefore say, this is what the sovereign Lord says. Although I sent them far away among the nations and scattered them among the countries, yet for a little while I have been a sanctuary for them in the countries where they have gone. Therefore say, this is what the sovereign Lord says. I will gather you from the nations and bring you back from the countries where you have been scattered, and I will give you back the land of Israel again. They will return to it and remove all its vile images and detestable idols. I will give them an undivided heart and put a new spirit in them. I will remove from them their heart of stone and give them a heart of flesh. Then they will follow my decrees and be careful to keep my laws. They will be my people, and I will be their God. But as for those whose hearts are devoted to their vile images and detestable idols, I will bring down on their own heads what they have done, declares the sovereign Lord. And then the cherubim with the wheels beside them spread their wings, and the glory of the God of Israel was above them. The glory of the Lord went up from within the city and stopped above the mountains east of it. The Spirit lifted me up and brought me to the exiles in Babylonia, in the vision given by the Spirit of God. Then the vision I had seen went up from me, and I told the exiles everything the Lord has shown me. So we're going to go ahead before we start, because it is going to go into next week what the exiles look like and everything like that. There's some key points in this section here that I think are very important along the lines of how the wheels moved, the bodies moved of the cherubim following the heads. Same thing, the mind of Christ, the head is of the Lord Jesus, we're the body. We see here in this section, we talk about being a remnant of Israel, which in further sections, Paul actually goes over what, remnants are. It's that last piece that's the procession has already passed, and we're following up the end of the parade, drawing it into a close. Also here, we see, I think too, that, these people are saying that the Lord doesn't see. And as that little interlude I did, that actually I didn't even think correlated to this section so much, and there's actually so many things pointing out now just from having read that right before reading this section. The Lord sees everything. He's a witness to us. So whatever you're doing, the Lord sees it. And as far as he's going to exact judgment, and this is a precursor to, I believe, Revelations later on. So we need to follow what it is the will of God is, which in other sections also is to believe in the one he sent. So if God sent someone, believe in them. If you truly believe in them, that's the will of God. And we're looking at the Lord Jesus and what he has taught us and how we correct ourselves to his mind, to let him be the director of our bodies. So in that, I'm going to go ahead and close. I hope to be seeing you guys and speaking to you guys pretty soon here. We'll be finishing up. There's a lot in Ezekiel to still read, and I hope to be hearing from you guys soon. And if you guys want to ask me any questions or have any discussions, if there's any topics you thought were interesting that popped out to you, go ahead and leave it in the comment sections. And if you are interested in further discussions with me and with the community here, and find fellow believers who are also trying to work on this together and not just put on a false face and are honestly trying to work as brothers in order to better our lives and to be in communion with our Father. So in that, you guys can subscribe to the video here, and I hope to be seeing you guys soon. Hope you guys have a good one.